Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you. So we are coming back to Snake Eye with the addition of Snake Eye's Diabellstar. I definitely wanted to try this card out in the deck. So I know that Fire King Snake Eye is definitely the best way to go right now in Master Duel, but I figured if I was going to have a good chance of potentially showcasing the Snake Eye's Diabellstar, that Pure Snake Eye might be the better way to go. Plus, I was also just kind of curious to see what state Pure Snake Eye is at right now, right? As far as how does this deck feel to play in Master Duel right now with all of the limitations in effect. Of course, we have the Snake Eye Ash at 1, the Poplar's at 1, the Wanted is at 1, the Bonfire is at 2, so a lot of hits that deck there. And you definitely feel it. You definitely feel it. In that regard, I am playing 2 original Sinful Spoils Snake Eye. I don't know if a third one would actually even be that great. Because yeah, this deck does need consistency issues fixed, but at the same time, OSS is such an all-in way to start your plays, right? To try to normal summon a hand trap and then activate original Sinful Spoils. If that gets Ash Blossomed or just negated, whatever you summon gets veiled or impermed, you're just down to so many cards and your normal summon just to then lose, you know? It's pretty rough out there, honestly. With all the limitations and stuff. So that's why I opted for kind of the Kashtira package, a little bit of an old school. I say old school. It's a tech from earlier this year, but it's been a while since I've seen somebody play, the Pure Snake Eye with Kashtira. So I needed, to fill out the deck with a few spots, and so I was like, why not? Let's go back and see. I really wanted to go back and see exactly how this deck feels right now, right? With all the ban lists in effect and with all the current new decks running around. So I will say the Snake Eye's Diabellstar, I think, is actually quite good for the deck. It's not a game changer or anything. It doesn't super boost your consistency, but it is a decent extender, right? The idea being that if you can get this in the graveyard and then place it in your spell trap with Poplar, this can then summon itself to be another body to link with, to be just a big body in general. Very serviceable stats, 2800 attack and 2600 defense, extremely respectable. So yeah, I think this is a pretty decent card overall. Oh, and then also, not only can you dump it into the graveyard and place it in the spell trap, with its own effect. Oh, no, sorry. Not place it with its own effect, but place it with Poplar's effect. But you could also place it in the spell trap with the Divine Temple of the Snake Eye. Another reason I wanted to play Pure instead of Fire King when trying this card out is to play as many cards as possible that would potentially showcase it. That said, I don't know that it's going to play a huge role in any of the games that we have coming up here, but I do still think it is an extremely solid addition for the deck here. So, as far as what I think of what do I think of Pure Snake Eye? Setting the Fire King variant aside, because I want to rewind the clock a little bit for everybody. Let's refresh our memories going back to earlier this year, January, February, March, around Challenger Cup time, when Pure Snake Eye was at full power. There were so many people, so many people who said, limits are not enough. You cannot just limit cards. You have to ban Flamberge, or ban Ash, or something. Ban Flamberge was a really popular thing that people were saying. And I've spoken on this a lot, but I want to talk about it here a little bit too. Especially now that we're so many months later, and I get to put on my "I told you so" hat. Because again, there were very, very, very many people, especially on Twitter, who whenever I said, "Yeah, if you just limit Ash, then the deck is probably curbed." I mean, also of course limiting something like Diabell or Wanted, but if you limit those cards, I think the deck gets very curbed. And of course, people pour it on with the train of what are you talking about? Consistency hits? Yeah, those don't do anything. You're gonna need to ban Flamberge, and if you think the deck can be balanced any other way, you're just coping. I got so many YouTube comments and Twitter replies like that. Here we are. Here we are, 7-8 months later. Everything has been limited, and Pure Snake Eye is a tier 3 deck at best. So don't mind me, I'm just strutting around with my "I told you so" hat. I think it comes from TCG banlist philosophy, where a lot of TCG players get this idea that you have to ban cards, but you really don't all the time. And I want to make it clear to you that I'm not inherently opposed to banning cards. I don't think banning a card is automatically a bad thing you should avoid. I just don't think it's always the go-to solution like TCG players do. And the thing that really sucks about the TCG list in that regard, I don't know why TCG players put up with this. I don't know. I could make a whole video on this about how much I hate the TCG list and how much I truly despise it. But one of the things I think is awful about it is that they'll ban key cards from an archetype, making the archetype essentially unplayable. And then they don't unban them for like 5 years until after they stopped being relevant anyway. And it's like, it just feels so bad, right? Like banning Flamberge, for example. Like, if you ban Flamberge, there's no reason to ever play Snake Eyes cards again, like any of them. And a lot of people are just like, good, you know? But it's like, no. That, in my opinion, is not good game design. Like, why ban one card that makes a whole archetype useless that you just released, right? That's awful game design. Granted, I think making Ash be able to search itself is also awful game design. A lot of the Snake Eyes stuff is clearly overtuned, but we're past that point, right? I hate when people argue that, like, oh, well, if you just change this effect, it's like, no, we're past the design stage. We need to talk about balancing, right? And I think that limits over bans in a situation like Snake Eye is the way to go. Because limiting Ash was not just a consistency hit, it also hurt the follow-up. Same with limiting Wanted. I told people this. The funny thing is, I say this nowadays and people are like, yeah, well, obviously. And it's literally the same people. I think of one person in particular. It's same people who told me months ago that, like, no, consistency hits don't do anything. It's like, okay. I think this happens a lot, especially in our community, where, like, somebody will see a YouTuber say something, and then that'll just get parroted infinitely, right? That was the point that I challenged a lot of people on, especially on Twitter, was like, people who said consistency hits don't do anything. There were quite a few times where I replied with like, can you elaborate on that? Can you tell me why a consistency hit to Snake Eye would not do anything to curb the deck? And I never had anyone reply to that. Nobody ever replied when I responded that way. Because I really don't think they had a follow-up argument. I think they really just heard, you know, people in mass kind of say the sign and they're just parroting it back, right? Same with Kashira, you know. People are like, you have to ban a Rise Heart. You have to ban a Rise Heart. But, like, we live in a world where Kashira is able to exist with a Rise Heart. And a lot of people also make the argument of like, well, yeah, but if you ban one card, then you don't have to limit a bunch of them. And it's like, well, why is limiting a bunch of them bad? Like, I don't think that's inherently bad either. I think, again, it's case by case. Applying nuance to an argument in Yu-Gi-Oh? Yeah, there is no degree of nuance to Yu-Gi-Oh discussion. Which I feel like if there was even a little, you know, people would be willing to see that, like, I don't know. Anyway. I've ranted long enough about this. If you really want to see this be its own video, I would be glad to do that. Let me know in the comments below, but I imagine a lot of people don't. Maybe I'm wrong, who does? Anyway, we covered the list. I've talked about the deck a little bit. Why don't we just go ahead and... Oh, you know what? I will break it down card by card before you go into these games. I know everybody knows Snake Eye, but it's been a while since we played pure Snake Eye, so let's do that first. Anyway, we are on 3 Effect Veiler, 1 Snake Eye Ash, 1 Snake Eye Oak, 1 Snake Eye Birch, 1 Snake Eye Poplar, 3 Max C, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 1 Kashira Fenrir, 2 Kashira Unicorn, 3 Diabellstar the Black Witch, 2 Snake Eyes Flamberge Dragon, 1 Snake Eyes Diabellstar. We got 1 Nibiru the Primal Being, 1 for 1 Troll Tactics Talent, 1 Sinful Spoils of Subversion Snake Eye, 2 Bonfire, 2 Original Sinful Spoils Snake Eye, 1 Pressured Planet Wraithsoth, 1 Divine Temple of the Snake Eye, 1 Kashira Birth, 2 Called by the Grave, 1 Cross-Out Designator, 1 Wanted, Seeker of Sinful Spoils, and then 3 Infinite Impermanents. That's going to be our main deck. For the extra, we're on 1 Super Star Slayer Typhon Sky Crisis, 1 Link Rebo, 1 Relinquished Shanima, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Hita the Fire Charmer Ablaze, 1 IP Masquerade, 1 Dark the Dark Charmer Gloomy, 1 SP Little Knight, 1 Promethean Princess Bestower of Flames, 1 Amphibious Swarm Ship Ambler Whale, 1 Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess, 1 Axis Code Talker, 1 World Sea Dragon Zealantis, 1 Salaman Great Raging Phoenix, and then finally 1 Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. There's our list. Let's watch these duels. Alright, our first opponent is going to be on Twin Spright, actually featuring the Nightmare Griffin lock as well, so that's pretty cool. And we are going to be going second this game, so... Great opening hand, though. Phenomenal opening hand going first or second. I'd love to open this every single time. Okay, when my opponent throws out the Spright Carrot, I'm immediately going to max C. Pretty obvious I'm going to get draws off the follow-up Spright monsters. Blue is going to come down, drawing a Bonfire off that. Opponent's going to add a Pixies before setting and then passing. Alright, now, from here, I want to talk about this a little bit, because I thought about using Imperm on the Spright Carrot, but at the same time, I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know, I already have Unicorn, so maybe I'll just activate Wraitsoth, and then I'll save my Imperm if I need it for a follow-up turn, right? In case I have enough hand traps to stop me, was what I was originally gonna do. But since I top decked the second Imperm here, I think I am actually just willing to use one of them on the Sprite Carrot. So we'll just negate the Carrot, I don't have to worry about it. From here, we're going to activate the Pressured Planet Wraitsoth. I'm going to add Fenrir. Definitely want to start off with your Kashtira plays. Of course, not only because they require no monsters to be specialed, but this will definitely bait your opponent's responses a lot of the time, especially nowadays, because like it's been so long since Kashtira Snake Eye has been a thing. A lot of people will probably just assume you're playing Kashtira and throw their disruption at your Kashtira stuff. So the fact that we haven't seen like an Ash Blossom or an Imperm or a Veiler tells me my opponent probably doesn't have it, but I do want to still be mindful of Nibiru, right? So what I'm going to do here, I've summoned 1, 2 times. Ash is going to be 3, Poplar is going to be 4. So with the Poplar search, I'm going to grab Divine Temple. And then with Divine Temple, I'm going to place the Flamberge Dragon. See, this way, if my opponent does have a Nibiru for the 5th summon, which I'm about to do here in a moment, then I can still use the Divine Temple to pull out the Flamberge. It's really funny hearing myself re-explain this, because, like, on one hand, I'm like, yeah, this is really basic Snake Eye stuff. Like, I feel like people know this already. But at the same time, it's been actually so long since pure Snake Eye was like super meta relevant that I don't know how many people actually know this, right? Oh, and here also, instead of going for the Link Kribo, this is actually a situation where you do get to go for the Relinquished Anima. I want to make sure that these Sprite monsters are off the field before I start battling, because we do know they have Pixies in hand. So we're going to use Anima and then another probably follow-up effect to get rid of the Carrot here. Or I would if my opponent didn't concede in response to this summon here. Yep, so they're going to concede here, so... but yeah, from there, it would have been pretty simple. Like, we Anima, of course, equip the Sprite Blue. We can Snake Eye Ash, sack off itself with, I guess, the Sprite Blue even. Well, Sprite Blue pushes it into their spell trap, so never mind. So we'd have to do it with the Poplar. From there, you can go for Oak, and then, I mean, it's just Snake Eye stuff from there, right? So, but that's a pretty good showcasing, I think, of, you know, how a pure Snake Eye deck, especially with the cash package, likes to play, right? And again, it's like, do we really need this example? But it has been so long since Snake Eye has been super meta relevant. Like, I don't know. I'm at the point, especially after this latest playtest session with this deck, I'm at the point where I'm willing to call this maybe even a rogue deck. Like, if not a rogue, a lower tier 3 deck, right? So, I don't know. We'll have to see. Anyway, let's just go ahead and move on into the next one here. All right, hopping into our next game against Tenpai. And I really regret not saying this at the start of the video, because I know people are going to leave comments about, why aren't you playing the Melodious package? I forgot to, sorry, I didn't mean to give you all such an annoying voice. I meant to say this at the top of the video, but I totally forgot to. So, because I know people are going to ask that. I'm not playing the Melodious package. Maybe I did cover this in the deck profile portion. See, this is my second take of this video, so I don't remember what was in the first take or the second take. But in case I didn't mention it here, I'm not playing the Melodious package because it's too expensive. And honestly, like, it's just going to get replaced by Azamina, like, relatively soon enough anyway, right? I'm really not trying to craft, what, like 7 or 8 URs just for an engine in this deck that's not going to be optimized. And, like, yeah, I know I could actually just play Melodious too, but, like, I don't want to. So that pretty much addresses that. I know I'm gonna get a comment being like, pushes up glasses. Well, actually, if you played the Melodious engine, it'd be a lot better in this deck. And it's like, I know it would be right now, but I don't think that's gonna be the case in the long term. And for that reason, I don't want to invest all those URs. So just want to make sure that I made that clear. Anyway, here I'm gonna birth and then use the OSS on the birth, because it's really the only way I have to get my play started here. Gonna get to Ash for the Poplar off that. Gonna use the Poplar effect here. Well, it's going to Droll and Lockbird. So that's a little unfortunate, but it's not the end of the world. We can certainly still combo under the Droll and Lockbird. So of course no search off the Poplar, but I'm still gonna link off the Poplar for the Link Kuriboh. Poplar effect gets to put itself in the spell trap. And then from there, I'm gonna special the Birch. I'm gonna do that now, just in case my opponent has like some kind of response to some of my effects here, and I don't have a fire monster in play for whatever reason. So gonna cycle the Oak in before going into the Flamberge here. Gonna link that off with the Snake Eye Ash. I actually don't think I even end up needing the Birch as a combo piece, like for anything. So it's just gonna end up sitting on the field, which is fine because of course it has its on-field effect during the opponent's turn, right? So, all right, Prom Princess. Gonna bring back that Flambridge, of course. We've all probably seen this before. Flambridge putting the IP into the spell trap. I will say doing these combo lines made me really nostalgic for the Challenger Cups. Those were good times. I had a lot of fun playing in those. It's funny because a lot of people would say that that format wasn't as fun as this one, right? The one where pure Snake Eye was just dominating. But I had more fun playing in that format than I've had playing in this one. I don't know, it's like... I'm not gonna lie, ever since Duel came out, Master Duel has been kind of very, very slightly getting more and more boring to me. And not that I'm like, I'm gonna quit Master Duel or anything, but like... It's just been a long while since I've been like really, really excited to play some Master Duel, you know? Like again, you know, a lot of people were like, and rightfully so, I think that the Snake Eye format was, you know, worse than the current one, but I don't know, you know, I just had so much fun looking forward to the Challenger Cups every weekend and playing in them and talking with friends who are playing in them, you know? And I know there's tournaments going on right now as well, but it's just hard for me to rediscover that in Master Duel right now. There's also, I gotta be honest, there's not really any deck in Master Duel that I'm like super excited to play. I mean, yeah, there's like Synchro stuff and Spright. I always enjoy playing those decks, but like, you know, when I was playing in the Challenger Cups, another Duel and Lockbird for the backseat here, that's brutal. When I was playing in the, okay, so here, this might look a little weird to preemptively Valor again Roku, which has the quick effect, but I am doing it on the same chain link as Duel and Lockbird here, because that way I get one more draw off the Genroku summon off my Maxi before the Droll resolves, and I don't get any more draws. That's why I use Valor here. Also, the other reason to use Valor here is that, like, if I didn't use Valor, my opponent's just going to move to battle phase anyway, and then just activate the Genroku, so it's like, Valor's not going to resolve really either way, so I might as well get a draw out of it, right? I might as well cycle it for a draw here, basically. But yeah, you know, it's like oh, and then here I'm using Birch for Flambridge, so I don't draw it. Fitting my deck. I'm trying to get another Effect Veiler here, because if I can get another Effect Veiler, like, if I can get another Effect Veiler and use it on the Fadra, or whatever comes out here, I'm in such a good spot, but I did not top deck another Effect Veiler. That would have cinched the game for me, I think. Oh, I will say, too, I meant to point out that during my opponent's main phase, I made a misplay. I should have popped the Raging Phoenix with the Promethean Prince instead of the Flambridge. Because the Flambridge would have gotten sent to the graveyard. Well, it was this Flambridge, technically. Because this Flambridge would have gotten sent to the graveyard, like, either way at some point during the turn and then procced. But I really needed to get that Raging Phoenix into the graveyard to be able to activate the effect. I actually don't know if that would have ended up mattering, but it was a misplay on my part that I want to make sure I pointed out. But, yeah, I was in my middle of my little rant there about, I don't know, it's like I said, you know, I just had a lot more fun playing in that era. That era. That era that was like 8 months ago. Like, I think the format is healthier now than it was when Pure Snake Eye was like so obscenely good, but in terms of deck diversity at least. But yeah, I don't know, I'm just not having quite as much fun. Now, like I said, I'm not about to, like, quit the YouTube channel or anything. Never. God. Yeah, it's like I said, you know, there's just not as many decks where I'm, like, really looking forward to trying it, out, you know. Not just a deck in general, but also, like, changes within the build, and all that kind of stuff. I don't know, maybe somebody can relate. Well, I think a lot of people can relate, because I think a lot of people look fondly back on the Tier 0 format. It's like, yeah, Tier Limit was, like, by far just dominating and the best thing to play, but it was still, the games played during that format were a lot of fun, right? So, anyway. That's just my 2 cents about that. So there is that duel there. We have one more that we're going to check out. Let's finish off with that one. Okay, final game here. We're going to end up playing against Centurion, and this is actually a pretty good game from what I remember. It involves some pretty decisive use of certain hand traps on both players' parts. So we're going to be taking the first turn here. Pretty good opening hand. We get to lead with Cast Chef, and we have a 1-for-1. Going to lead with the Unicorn, and that is going to hit with the Valor. So again, one of the best things about playing the Kashira package is that it so easily baits out this Disruption. Especially in a meta where people aren't expecting Kashira Snake Eyes, right? When Kashira Snake Eyes was actually the best deck to play, or one of them at least, you know, a lot of people would not Valor the Unicorn there, right? But nowadays, you know, a lot of people do. So Little risky going for the 1-for-1 here, but I kind of have to do it. Thankfully, they don't have the Ash Blossom, so I get to go for the Snake Eye Ash. They do have a Gamma here, though. I am going to end up using the Ash Blossom on the Gamma. So, the thing to know, of course, about Ash Blossom versus Cyframe Gear Gamma is that Cyframe Gear Gamma is not once per turn, and the Gamma just stays in the hand, right? So, if you Ash Blossom a Gamma, your opponent can still Gamma later in the turn. So, if you're thinking about doing that, you have to ask yourself, okay, is ashing the Gamma now worth it, or can they just Gamma on the next effect and still stop me anyway? So I thought about it here, and I was like, okay, so if I Ash Gamma here, I add Poplar, activate Poplar, they Gamma that. In that case, I can still activate Snake Eye Ash and sack off the Unicorn, and then potentially make some plays there. So I was like, you know, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to Ash Blossom the Gamma, because I really don't know if there's a much... Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, Gammaing the Poplar activation in hand here. Oh, but it would just go to the spell trap zone. Because I was going to say that would leave me one body short, but then I could Ash on the Poplar in the spell trap. Yes, okay, so funnily enough, moving forward, this Gamma actually can't stop me from setting up my turn 1 board anymore. Like, yeah, they're going to use that on the Ash effect here, but I still have that original Sin that I just added off the Poplar, right? And because I added original Sinful Spoils and not Temple, that's why I'm able to play through the Gamma no matter what they use the negate on here, right? Because now I can just OSS for Oak, Oak bring back Birch, I can use Oak effect and sack itself off with the Birch to go for the Flamberge. Then now I can link the Unicorn with the Flamberge in order to make IP, and then from here we just build our you know, turn 1 end board. So yeah, Ash Blossom versus Gamma, like I said, very, very skill testing play there. Just kind of knowing what you can get away with. Because again, if the Gamma is just going to stop you either way, like if the Gamma is just going to stop you on the next play, then you should hold the Ash Blossom for a disruption during your opponent's next turn, right? Alright, so we got the Flamberge, we got the IP and the Spell Trap, we're going to make the Raging Phoenix. Going to set the Imperm. And pass over to our opponent. I'm going to draw phase Flamberge, especially because they've already used Gamma. Thrust, I think, is the only way you can get punished for that, which you get punished for Thrust no matter when you Flamberge, so... Alright, they're going to get a Ball Drake off the Bestial Dubellion, then normal summon the Centurion Primera. I'm going to go for the Imperm here to negate that pre-meta search. Definitely did not want that to go off. And then I'm also, right afterward, I'm going to activate the IP here. It might seem a little bit weird, because basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to IP, and then link off the Flamberge and go for SP and banish the Primera. That might seem weird to negate and then banish Primera. It's like, well, aren't you just using 2 different disruptions to get the same card? Yes, but I want that to happen because I want this Primera off the field. I know my opponent has a Baldric. I do not want them to Synchro for 10. I don't want to have to deal with a Baron de Fleur here, so... I'm going to go for the IP now. Again, even though I've already negated. But it's going to Baldric in the same chain link. Which does mean they get to banish the SP upon summon. But that's also not that big of a deal. Because I still have the Promethean Princess as well. Alright, so I'm going to use Baldric's effect here. I get to do Flamberge. Yeah, they're just going to concede. So, I will say that was maybe not the best. Well, I'm trying to think about the timing there, right? Because the SP doesn't get to use the second effect because the first effect is already on the chain link. And my opponent's already activated their effect, so it won't get to get procs later. So my plan there was to use Flamberge Chainlink 1 to bring stuff back, Prom Princess Chainlink 2 to pop the Raging Phoenix and the Baldrake. And then SP, I was just going to banish a Primera from the graveyard because I didn't really have much else to do at that point. But yeah, it looks like my opponent's last couple of cards were not enough to play through that. So that is going to do it for that one. Thanks, folks, for watching these games. Super appreciate you and enduring my rant at the beginning. But yeah, let's go ahead and move now to our outro. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Just want to give you a huge thanks for watching all the way to the very end of the video. Believe it or not, that is actually one of the best ways that you can support the channel, is by watching the videos in their entirety. But there are many ways in which you can support the channel if you are so interested. The names that you're seeing on screen here, I gotta give an extra special thanks to, because these are people who have chosen to either become a member on YouTube, which if you're interested you can do as well via the join button next to the subscribe button down there, or have signed up over on Patreon and become members there. Link to that is going to be in the description below. Without the support that is being offered by, again, all the people that you're seeing on screen right here, I would not be able to take the time to dedicate to uploading daily YouTube videos. So thank you so very much. But there are also other ways you can support as well. Again, link to the description below. If you like my deck tracker that you'll see in a lot of my videos, the Untapped Companion, you can download that for free, and if you use my affiliate link down there, then that also goes a long way towards supporting the channel. That's, again, free. So is subscribing here on YouTube. That's also free and a huge way to support. You can also check out Twitch, once again linked in the description below. Following and subscribing over there will not only support as well, but also give you notifications of when I go live if you want to catch some of the live streams. But really, no matter how you choose to support, it all adds up and it all definitely means the world. So thank you, each and every one of you. For now, this is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out. But more than that, I'm hoping that you have a fantastic day.